the studios of Adaba FM. Good afternoon and welcome to the very first edition of TheRoundTable in the year 2021, the year of our Lord. My name is Dimeji Daniels, and this afternoon on the program, we'll be talking about COVID-19. People have been experts have been talking about the second wave of COVID-19 and the emerging variants. Some experts have even said that the UK variant is already in Nigeria. We've heard about the South African variant as well. We'll be talking about this, and we'll also be looking at whether there is a likelihood that this new variant, whether they could affect the effectiveness of the various vaccines that are already available for COVID-19. I'm being joined by the state epidemiologist, that is Dr. Stephen Fagwimi. You're welcome on the program.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, listeners at home. Happy New Year to everybody.
So COVID-19 started in 2019.
Yeah.
2 years down the line, we're still battling COVID-19. We're in 2021 and we're still talking about COVID-19. Even though the name says 19, we're in 2021. We're still dealing with COVID-19. How many variants there are? I know that it is common for virus to mutate.
Yeah.
But how many variants there are? Can you put a finger on that?
Well, as at now, we are aware of two. But that's not to say, but it's possible that there are some other variants, but two are well recognized. Sometimes the mutation may be so small. It may be so infinitesimal. It may just be very slight that you could hardly notice. But it is when the mutation is significant.
And people talk about it.
Say, we can see this is significantly different from the last one. That's when they put a name to it. They put a designation to it that this. So from time to time, virus has a tendency to mutate. But if the mutation is insignificant, they just take class them together. But if we have a major difference in this strain, unlike what we are used to, then we can categorically say, yes, this is a strain. And that is what has been expressed in this second variant. For sure, we know it is different in some ways from the earlier one.
Now, just as you said, I read as well that sometimes when mutation occurs, sometimes it disappears without people even noticing.
Yeah.
And that sometimes it could persist. Now, in this regard, it as though it is persisting. Let me ask you this, as an expert, what would you say, even though we've said it on this program that it is common for virus to mutate, what is responsible for that mutation?
Well, the virus is also trying to adapt.
Okay.
It's part. These are very small organisms. They cannot, unlike bacteria, they cannot live independently. They have to infect a cell, so to say. So they are trying to also adapt, get better, improve on themselves.
Okay.
So that's what,
just as human beings would do, adapt to the environment.
That's exactly what is going on. So the virus is trying, as it infects, its hosts, is trying to say, okay, how do I infect? How do I survive more? How do I become more efficient?
More virulent.
Exactly. So that is what is happening. And the ones that are not able to do that will phase out. The ones that are not able to do that will phase out. And the strain that is more efficient will become the dominant strain over the year. But remember, the ability for a strain to persist, and assist in the population also depends on the people that are infected surviving. So if, for instance, that's why if, for instance, we have a very, very virulent strain that everybody that is infected dies quickly, then that strain will not last long in the community. That's the truth.
Okay, that one would disappear easily.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but as somebody who is an expert in this field, what would you say is the difference? Okay, let me ask you this before I ask you that. Is it possible? Because when COVID-19 came out, because we've been having a lot of flu virus before COVID-19. We've had SARS. In fact, this one is SARS-2, SARS-CoV-2.
It's the same family.
It's the same family. Now, is it possible that with a little tweaking, done in the lab? Because a lot of people, there were those conspiracy theories at the time that COVID-19 came out. With this new variant, is that also possible? Is there a likelihood?
Well, there are always conspiracy theories about origins of outbreaks, and yeah, it is true that there are all kind of scientists that are doing things, some legal, some illegal. That's the truth. We don't know yet. I mean, the jury is out. I'm aware that.
But is it a possibility?
It's a possibility.
It's something that can be done.
It's a possibility. WHO is sending a team to Wuhan this year. They're expected to arrive sometime late January to investigate more, to get to the root of this. Over these past 100 years, all sorts of things have happened. I mean, scientists have been doing cloning, they've been doing this, gene editing. Science has advanced. So you never say never. And the truth is that if these things happen, of course, we don't expect them to kiss and tell. So it's possible, and it's one of the theories that people will continue to look at, to investigate, to see whether it's true or not, until we have substantial proof otherwise.
When COVID came out in China in 2019, a lot of people felt it was not going to get to their country. A place like Nigeria, we're not even talking or even really thinking about it. And then in February 26, it came to Nigeria. In fact, at the time that I started, WHO did not send any team to China until February 2020. Now, some people, I've spoken with people, interacted with people who say, okay, when is this COVID-19 going to go? Because this is not the first pandemic that the world will witness.
Yeah, there are many factors that are responsible for the rapid spread. The nature of the virus itself, the mode of transmission itself, because this is something that is in the air, you just need to be close to somebody to get it. So anything that is transmitted that way is likely to move fast. You also look at our transportation system. Now we have air transportation. Every other country is just a few hours away from the next.
It's a global village.
It's a global village. 100 years ago, it will have taken months for things like this to move from one country to another, because basically you were either doing traveling by train or by ship. But once we had, and everybody is running around buying something, trading, doing one thing or the other, that was perhaps one of the reasons why. And China is everywhere now. Yes. China has become a dominant economy. The Chinese all over the place. People are, and that also means if something starts in China, it's just like if something starts in America, you're going to see it everywhere. WHO, yeah, maybe some slow response. I'm sure they are also doing their own soul searching now. Everybody was caught napping. This was not something we were ready for. WHO had been looking at the steps they took. Everybody is reviewing and evaluating the processes, and I trust that we've learned lessons. Next time something like this shows up somewhere, the response will be totally different. Even for countries, there were countries who felt this thing will not get our shots, and before you can say Jack Robinson, it's there. And even when it arrived, people felt, I remember then, we thought it was a Lagos problem. Every other state felt secure.
Some people even said it was a rich man's virus.
I remember the federal government tried to prevent interstate traveling, but people felt it wasn't an issue. I'm sure if we knew how serious it would be, that interstate lockdown would have been more efficient than this. But people were communities.
What you've seen as somebody on the field, and what you've seen so far in terms of the response in Nigeria, would you say, because you just said we've learned our lessons, would you say we have really learned our lessons in Nigeria with the attitude of the people?
Well, the way people respond to an outbreak sometimes is influenced by the nature of the outbreak.
Okay.
We say, well, it's true that people seem to be a bit lackadaisical about it. I'm sure one major factor, apart from of course, the economic hardship that keeps pushing people out to the streets every day, one major factor why the people's response has been unbelief, skepticism, and not taking it serious is because overall, the truth is that the outbreak has not been so serious in Nigeria. We were here during Ebola. When people say, they don't wait for it to complete. I mean, we're here during Ebola. People don't want it to share taxi with you. They say, I paid for this one. Go and find your own. I remember an incident that happened, in Ondo State, a community in Akoko Northwest. They refused vehicles to pass through. They blocked the road just on the suspicion that somebody in the other community
had Ebola.
Nobody did lockdown. It was community-driven lockdown. But the moment people felt this is COVID thing, we are not even sure. Those who are sick, we can't see anything. They relax. But in countries where people are dying in their thousands, the response is different. We thank God that we are not dying in thousands in Nigeria. And we thank God. And of course, already over 1,000 have died. And that's 1,000 too many. But sometimes it's difficult for people to really see this danger. And that may be responsible for why Nigerians like life. I can assure you, Nigerians are lively people. We don't want to die. No matter how harsh Nigeria is, nobody wants to go to heaven yet. So some.
But when you listen to, people like the governor of Kogi State, when you see him saying COVID-19 is, and it talks about marketing strategies and all of that, and this is a state governor, what does that say to you as an expert?
What is going on in Kogi State is worrying to many people.
Because he did say that he brought in CDC. They went around, they tested people, they even tested core members and students who were resuming for a new session, and not one incident was found in his state.
I'm sure the governor is managing his public relation and he's been economical with the truth. If you look at how many tests are carried out state by state, there are some states that they're just not testing. For instance, in our states, our testing is still not where it should be. But we try to test every day. And our governor, Mr. Arakunrin Akeredolu, he was passionate. I mean, we had a meeting with him over a week ago. Even though we've had about 41 deaths, and he was concerned about it. As far as he's concerned, it's 41 deaths too many. And for me, that's the kind of leader you want to follow. Somebody who says, even if it's one person that dies, it shouldn't happen. Not somebody who says, okay, if one person dies in a population of about 4 million, it's insignificant. That's a reckless attitude. For a governor to say that the COVID is not an issue, for us in public, we feel that's reckless. We should err on the side of caution. There are state governments who are discouraging some of our colleagues, epidemiologists, from testing, who says, I don't want any tests done in my state.
In Nigeria, that's been done.
There are state governors who are discouraging testing.
What do they stand to gain from that?
They are doing public relations. They are prioritizing market over people's lives. But you have to be alive to do the investment. You see, at the end of the day, who will invest if people are dying? So, we are in Ondo State. We are glad that here we have the cooperation of government, and despite what we can say about the public, I think the public are trying. They are not violent. We still carry out testing. People may feel reluctant, but they listen to us, they submit themselves.
Do you think, because I've had people say, even if I have COVID, I don't want to be tested, because there's this fear of stigmatization, that once you go into isolation and you come up, but when it's in COVID, I've had people say that. Is there anything that can be done to, change this perception?
Okay, well, initially when the outbreak started, we didn't know much about this. Quite a lot has changed. In those early days, we were admitting everybody. Just test positive. We don't want to hear anything. We just carry you, take you to isolation.
Yeah.
But we have moved on since then. Now, your admission is based on your clinical picture. If you are positive,
the viral load.
Not even viral load. If you are positive and you don't have any symptom at all, a lot of people are like that. The virus is in them, but
they are symptomatic.
They are asymptomatic. Well, in that situation, you don't need to be admitted. We just want to make sure that you can stay somewhere alone at home. You are not.
But how do you monitor that?
Oh, we do. As I speak, there are quite a handful of people.
I could be somewhere and tell you, I'm in my room.
No, you see, one of the things is that we take time to explain to people. You also know the risk this poses to members of your family. We have, as I speak now, we have cases on admission in Ondo State, both in the hospital and those on isolation. Even some of my team members, not less than 3 or 4 of my team members are infected as I speak. So when people say this is not real, I have to motivate them every day. I have to encourage them to go out. And those that are infected have to stay away. I'm telling you what is currently happening. I don't know when I'm going to get it myself. I don't pray so, but if it happens, it happens. So, but some of them are on admission in the hospital. If they are clinically, they have symptoms that need to be managed. They have other issues. But those that are mild or asymptomatic, they stay at home. But we explain to everybody, make sure if your living conditions also cannot allow you to be in isolation at home, why not? Then we bring you into the facility.
Or listener, somebody who stays in a rented, face me, I face you.
Yeah. So that's part of the question we ask. We call you, you did so test. Once the test result comes out, we try to get in touch with you. You are Mr. So, yes, you did the test, yes, well, we're sorry to say it's positive, but we want to find out a few things. How are you feeling? You have any symptoms? Yes or no. If he says, no, I'm okay, I don't have any symptom, well, you have to be in isolation. Is that possible? Which kind of house do you live in? Do you share apartment with your children? Is it possible for you? If they say, oh, no, there's no way I can stay alone. I share the same room with my family, 6 of us. Okay, we'll come and pick you. And then we test everybody else in the house since you're already exposed to them. So that's the way we profile them. And for those at home, we continue to reach out to them regularly. I hope you are still okay. There are people at home who initially don't have symptoms, but later
they develop symptoms.
And of course, we have to pick them up
and bring them into
isolation. Because the key is to make sure you are under observation. And we also ask some other questions that may be a pointer to what will happen. Are you hypertensive? Are you diabetic? Or you don't know? How old are you?
There are so many Nigerians who are hypertensive or diabetic who do not know because they don't do regular testing. Some don't even go to the hospital.
Those are some of the things we're watching out for now. So we want to find out.
Or if you're overweight.
Your age is important. If you're above 60, then it's a red flag, because those are the people that are likely to come down with serious illness and then something terrible happens. And of course, we ask for specific symptoms. Are you running fever? You have a cough? Are you having difficulty breathing? Those are red signs. No matter what you say, if you say you're having difficulty breathing, we need to get to you within the hour and pick you up.
Now, this the UK variant, some lecturers at the Redeemers University said that it is already in Nigeria. They call it B117. That's what they call it. The UK variant. It is already in Nigeria since August 3, 2020. That was when they said they obtained the first sample. How true is that?
Let me say that sometimes we don't give credit to ourselves. The center in Redeemers University is called African Center for Genomic Studies, and the group of researchers there, they've done tremendously. In fact, it's one.
I know at some point they had the virologist as their VC. I've forgotten his name now.
That center is one of only 2 centers in Africa that is accredited for this kind. They did the 4 genomic sequences for this. They've been doing this. They did the same for Lassa. They're very solid, very, very solid. It's
that Redeemers University.
Yeah, that ACG, top notch. You can find it. You can Google it. They won an award. The WHO is partnering with them. They know what they're doing, and we need to celebrate our own. It's just that because we don't believe there's anything good happening in Africa. We don't believe it. Also, I can say that Nigeria Institute of Medical Research has also worked. They've been working on rapid diagnostic tests, kits. So many institutions in Nigeria have tried. So, yeah, ACG has talked about this strain a long time, months ago.
Before you even found it, before you found the way into the press.
But since it's Nigeria, people talk, and it's a private-driven institution. It's not a public sector where you think somebody is trying.
I think it's owned by a church.
Yeah, the university is owned by a church, and they have this center that have been working on things like this for quite a long time, and they are highly respected internationally. Now, that's where we were. They are the one for months, even till now. We send samples to our COVID sample to them. Though we have a laboratory in FMC, but sometimes when we have too many samples to process at a time, we still send samples to on a regular basis.
Have you come across the new variant in Ondo State?
Now.
Let me put it this way. Let's say, okay, like you said, you have a lab,
Yeah.
Let's say someone has a new variant. Is it testing? Is there any difference between detecting the virus?
Yes, there is. What most laboratory do is run a PCR. So a PCR will just say whether the virus is there or not. To test for the strain of the virus is advanced. It's an advanced test. It's deep. So it's not something that most of the laboratories cannot do that. To do the genomic sequencing, it's only high-class centers like ACG that can do that. And it's not something they do, so you need to pull a badge and look out for it. So we give a lot of thumbs up for them to do this. So they've identified that, occasionally they just pull out a batch and say, let's see, is this the same thing that we're dealing with? And they were able to say that in August, but nobody listened to them. But now we know better.
Now that it's in the UK, we're listening now because it's in the UK. The medical response, the way you manage it, is it going to be different from the way you manage the new variant?
Well,
I'm talking in terms of not just the safety protocols. I'm talking treatment now, the drugs that you administer.
So far,
apart from the vaccines,
so far, what we know about the two strains, the two variants, the two strains that are common now, popular, is that the second one, in terms of how it affects people, is basically the same. The same symptoms, same everything. Only that the second one.
How about the death rate? Is it more harmful?
No. We've not established that.
Okay.
It's not established. I mean, people have said that those who have been looking at it in UK and a few other countries, they said it doesn't seem to be more harmful. It's just that it's spreading faster.
Yeah. And I read somewhere that it is rapidly replacing other versions of the virus.
Yeah, because
variants of the virus.
If you have it makes sense. If you have two people doing business, and if one is thriving more than the other, it's going to push the second one out of the market.
Oh.
So that's what is happening.
That's a simple illustration.
The one that is spreading faster is going to become
more dominant
within a short while. Because it's more effective at infecting people. In UK, they found out that even during lockdown, in areas where they were locked down, this thing was spreading 3 times faster, even where they had lockdown. So it's very, very efficient. Very, very efficient. So, and that's a cause for concern. But in terms of when it affects a person, is a person more sick? No, that has not been proven. Is the mortality more? No. But of course, if it's affecting more people at a rapid rate,
then more people will die.
Yeah.
More people will die. So at the end of the day, the mortality will increase. Now, what about its ability, the ability of the virus to the rate at which it infects the cells? What about that? In the body,
it's a lot more efficient.
Okay.
So that is basically what the virus has done. The virus has developed itself to be able to do that a lot better than before. You see, while we were
replicate it,
while we were working on vaccine, trying to get the virus also had gone to the laboratory.
It was adjusting. was preparing.
So, what we need to do now is to make sure that these vaccine things, we push it quickly. I mean, kudos to, I think those guys who have been at this, they deserve a Nobel Prize. To be able to get a vaccine in 1 year, usually a 6 to 10 year activity. So to get it 1 year, I can see Nobel Prize. They may probably give it to many of them. They probably share it, but definitely the Nobel Prize is lining up because it's a record achievement.
Now let's talk about now with this new variant. What advice would you give to Nigerians, especially those who do not even know that there is another variant?
You know, it's so. The advice is this, so we need to talk about this.
Especially to those at the end of affairs, the decision makers, not just in government, but even in corporate world.
So we have a variant that is spreading faster and quicker.
How do you think we should respond?
That should teach everybody a lesson. For me, I'll give myself an example. The risks I used to take before, I don't take it anymore.
Okay.
Because I know this thing can get you a lot faster than
before.
So the places I used to go before, I cut down on them. Now I am fastidious. I mean, before you say, is somebody trying to shoot you with a rifle that comes out one bullet at a time, and somebody is trying to shoot you with a rifle that's a semi-automatic, 15 bullets at a time, your chances of dying with the other one, of being hit, is a lot more. So for me, I say, I don't play with my nose mask. I wear it religiously. I wash my hand fastidiously. I don't receive visitors. I keep away from crowd. I am much.
So you're saying careful. This is not the time to allow visitors into your home? This
is not the time, because the other variant is not very efficient.
When you put that side by side, by the kind of culture that we have around this place, when you tell family members, it's the kind of extended family system. You tell family members that can't come to your house, they're going to take it. And sometimes many of these people are not literate.
Number one of the reasons why you come to my house in the first place is that I'm alive, I'm dead. So I need to be alive for you to visit me. When I'm dead, I'm not useful. And right now, self-preservation is key.
It's the number one thing.
I mean, if you have a snail or a tortoise, once you try to touch it, the first thing it does is hide its head inside. Man, you got to stay alive. So, Nigeria, look at the figures. When was the last time we were doing 1,000 a day, even at the peak of the first wave? If you look at the figures, we're doing...
It's spreading faster.
Spreading faster. Look, you are not seeing figures now because during the holidays, maybe some people are tired. I mean, how many people went to go and collect sample on New Year? Everybody is tired. We are back. Everybody is back to work fully. Just watch this space in the next 1-2 weeks. All the parties, all the mixing, you will see, you will get a true picture of where we are within the next 1 to 2 weeks. You get the true picture.
The Ondo State Interministerial Committee on COVID-19 came up with the ban on crossover service, not just in Ondo State, it happened in other states as well. But though later some states like Oyo, Osun, even the FCT said people could do crossover. A lot of religious leaders didn't take this well. And we did a special report here where we spoke with pastors and even members of the public. One of the things they said was that if government is not locking down markets, or government is saying, oh, you can do your service till 10 p.m., but you can't do crossover. And they're asking, what kind of virus would not spread at 10 p.m. that will now spread at midnight? What is the sense behind that?
Okay, let me try to say this. First of all, if there was challenge in carrying people along, communication, reaching out, building a consensus, if there were oversight in that, I'm sure the interministerial committee has apologized for that. People felt, okay, they weren't, Now, a professor of public health, Professor Tomori, said, and I'm quoting him, he said, going to crossover night is like going to a lion's den. It's like you telling me that if Mr. President is coming to Ondo State, and another individual is coming to Ondo State, it's going to be the same security profile. It's not possible. A premiership match and a Division 3 match does not attract the same kind of crowd. It doesn't.
So you're saying having the service up to 10 p.m. and allowing the crossover vigil will attract... Okay.
The crossover vigil is a notorious service. Look, as security agents, for years we said, people should not do banga. People should not do this. How easy was it to control? I will tell you, I've been in the ministry for more than 23 years. I'm a pastor in an Anglican church. It is one service you can never control because 3/4 of people that you have never seen before are not members of your church, may not even be.
Don't run in from beer joints.
How do you enforce something like that? It's crazy. They're going to be there. They're not going to listen to anybody. They're going to shout Happy New Year. They're going to spew the virus into the air, and then they will withdraw 1 hour later.
They hug, they shake hands.
But those who have gotten it have gotten it. So why do you want to do that? Who does that?
Okay, now, what about states like Oyo? I've mentioned Oyo, Osun, and the Federal Capital Territory, which later said, okay, you can go ahead and do your crossover.
We are happy in Ondo State. Mr. Governor had said clearly to us, nobody's life is worth this. If there's anything in his power that he can do to make sure nobody dies, nobody is infected, he will do it. The crossover is not a life or death issue. Whether you prayed that night or you didn't pray, whether you slept, we are all in the 2021 now. It's a reality. It's not a life or death issue. And most faiths that I know of, especially the Christian faith, oppose the principle that God is everywhere.
Yes.
And the answer
even in your house.
Everywhere. So, where has the faith been violated? Nobody have said people should not pray. Nobody have said that. There's no persecution here. We have only said.
But what would you then say to, religious leaders who see it as persecution?
No, we try
who see it as being against the church.
It's a misconception. So we sat down together to have a dialogue.
Because at some point we're reading headlines like, those say old crossover or go to jail. We're reading that, and a lot of religious leaders, some of them felt offended that it shouldn't have gotten to that level.
And it wasn't up to that level. The truth of the matter was, sometimes somebody makes a statement and there's sensationalization. People get quoted out of context, It's unfortunate. The whole incident was unfortunate because facts were twisted, people were misquoted, people just hyped it up unnecessarily, and that was what happened. But I think we had a discussion. We recognize the role of the religious leaders because we will continue to need them. and they are relevant, they'll be relevant. Of course, we need prayers. We need prayers in fighting this COVID.
What about their position that if government is not, why is government not locking down markets?
Okay.
Market is rowdy. You can't control it. Especially markets in this part of the world.
Okay.
So it's not just rowdy, it's even sometimes even dirty littered.
Now, there are two arguments about the issue of government attitudes to markets. One is the economic argument,
Okay.
and the other is the scientific argument. People need to go to markets
And trade.
and buy what they will eat for the day. They just need to. We tried locking it up before. It created a lot.
Initially, it was suggested that people could, there are neighborhood markets.
Yeah.
They are not as rowdy as the big ones.
We agreed, but we've also had NSAS, and nobody wanted to provoke those kind of reactions anymore.
Okay?
So the economy is down. So that's the economic argument to say, look, people will have to eat. Otherwise, you may have a revolt on your hands. But there's a scientific argument, which is what we advance. Your chances of being infected in an outdoor open space is a lot lower than your chances of being infected
in an enclosed, like churches.
So if you are you have 200, 300, 400, 500 people, depending on the size of the church, sitting together in the same place for 2 hours, sharing the same air in an enclosed is a lot different from where you just go to the market. You don't spend 2 hours in the market unless you are a trader.
Some women do.
No, unless you are a trader.
Some women who are not traders do. I know women who do.
Those who are looking for,
is laughing.
Those
on
who
the
are
other
looking
side.
for the best deal.
They know how to do that.
They
go from one store to another
until they get the cheapest.
And you wonder what are you doing in the market?
And at the end of the day, they only say 15 naira.
Yes.
After spending 200 naira energy. But for whatever it's worth, the risks of cashing it in an open place is a lot less than in an indoor space. And so the recommendation for churches is not really about churches, for any indoor gathering, whether churches, mosque or events, is that make sure the hall or the auditorium is only half full.
Okay.
Make sure you don't spend more than 2 hours. Go your way.
And make sure it's well ventilated.
Well ventilated, people wash their hands. It's got nothing to do with religion. It doesn't matter what you're doing inside that hall. But religious people feel that we're targeting them. No, it's the same recommendation.
But do you think, have you done enough explanations to these people? In your stakeholders meeting, do you think you've done enough?
Explanations can never be enough. Definitely we have not done. You see, when you talk to someone and he doesn't see your point, you have to accept that you have not done enough. We haven't done enough. Maybe we've not used the right illustrations, we've not explained enough, we've not also listened enough, because for you to talk to somebody, you need to listen to them.
Yes.
So we are learning that. It's a learning curve for us, and we are strategizing. We've had about 2 or 3 engagements with them before now, and we are planning to have other deeper engagement, because we need to win this war. We need to capture the hearts and minds of the populace, and we cannot get to their hearts.
And Nigerians respect their religious leaders. If you get their buy-in, you can easily get their church members.
Their religious leaders, all they need to tell the people is wear face mask and you make breakthrough. People will wear it. Even at home.
Dr. Vagimi. Okay, let's get back to the second period. Now, the verses that we have, there's the UK has one, there's the one by Pfizer in the US, India has one now. Yeah. So I've read a lot of things, online. I've listened to experts as well. There are people who are worried that whether there is a likelihood of these vaccines not being effective as they should be against the new variant of the virus.
Okay,
Do we have that possibility?
The major problem we have with the vaccine, you see, sometimes it's good to be quick. You need to look at speed.
Okay.
You also need to look at accuracy.
Okay.
You also need to look at, while we congratulate ourselves on developing the vaccine within a year, that's record. It has a drawback. The drawback is not enough time to evaluate it.
Yes.
So there are many things we don't know.
Because some people are even scared. I've had people who said, "Oh, if they bring it to Nigeria, they're not going to take it because some people say it could be harmful to their health."
We don't know. Normally, you would like to look at the vaccine, let people take it,
do a lot of trials,
4 years,
okay,
and see. Okay, so what shows up after year 2, year 3, year 4? What happens? We don't.
If
have
there are side effects,
we don't have the luxury of that. For a disease that killed 1.8 million people last year, 1.84 million were infected.
Yes.
We just don't have the luxury. So there are questions that remain unanswered. But we have to weigh the risk. So what do we do? Do we wait for the next 4 years for this to kill more people, just for us to know whether this thing is going to have a side effect?
Is it possible for those who are developing these vaccines to take into consideration the fact that, okay, this is a virus, it is likely to mutate?
Yeah. So what is like,
so that even if it does, the vaccine will still be effective against it?
This vaccine will be effective.
Even against a new variant?
It will be. What may just change may be percentages. If you look if you look at the vaccines we have now, Pfizer is quoting 95%.
Okay.
Moderna is quoting 91%.
Russia claims to have one too.
But if I won't talk about Russia.
Because I think the World Health Organization has not.
AstraZeneca is quoting 75. No, the reason is this: Chinese have one, but we don't know what they are doing.
India has one.
Yeah, they are not placing their.
Even Madagascar has one.
And so do we have traditionalists here and
in Nigeria? There are people who say they have. Yes.
So, but we can only relate to people who do trials, who open all the cards, and everybody can verify.
But I think Venezuela said they bought from Russia, and they said people have been taking the vaccines, and they claim it's been effective.
It's good to be transparent. He that must come to equity must come with clean hands. So at the end of the day, Pfizer, Oxford, AstraZeneca, Moderna, they've opened all their cards. In fact, the Oxford, AstraZeneca, they even went as far as say even the mistake they made in dosage calibration, when they said everything, they opened them. But for countries who are doing stuff behind the iron curtain, and we don't know, and so WHO will not comment on those ones, they will not endorse it. And you can see European countries, people are buying from what they can vet.
Yes.
So that's the key. So the day Russia, India, China brings their books out,
Nigeria is buying from Pfizer.
We are buying from Pfizer. Because I believe we're also part of that.
There's a Nigerian, there's a Nigerian guy who graduated from University of Calabar, the Igbo guy. Now, what would you say to those who are scared of taking these vaccines? Like I said, I've had people say, "Oh, even when it gets to Nigeria, I'm not going to take it. I don't want to die."
Well, life is a risk, and
is it a risk? Taking a vaccine, would you say it's a risk worth taking?
If you look at the mortality rate in Nigeria, one of the things that kills most is road traffic accident. Your chances of dying from road traffic accident is a lot higher than your chances of dying from
COVID. Yeah.
But every day we drive. And you use your seatbelt and pray that hope you get back home. So you can't say because you see deaths on the roads every day you stay at home, you won't take a vehicle. No. So the scientists, everybody in the world is looked, and then like say Yoruba saying, "Orun yabo."
I'm sure.
Several millions of people are going to get this. If anything happens, we're going to be in it together. Those who know the Ayinike, they will know the Ayinik, but I don't know how to translate that in English.
All right. Okay. For those, let's give the people maybe a few minutes to ask you questions if they have questions about COVID or the new variant. The number to call, the numbers are 0816 251 9991. 08162519991 and 09081778793 09081778793. Okay, once more, the numbers to call are 09081778793, 09081778793, and 0816-251-9991, 0816-251-9991. Those are the numbers to call if you have any questions for the state epidemiologist, that's Dr. Stephen Fadayini. We're talking COVID-19. We'll be talking about the new variant of COVID-19 and the effectiveness of the vaccines, the available vaccines against this new variant. That's what we're talking about. So if you have any questions, 091778793 or 816-251-9991. Those are the numbers that will get you through to the studio this afternoon. So what would you, the federal government said schools should resume January 18. But in some states, we have, like I think Oyo, Plateau State, and some other places, school pupils resume today. People are back in school today. What would you say about the response? Because some people said they already have their calendar for the school year, and they are not ready to adjust this. What would you?
Well, the federal government, the PTF said that they made their recommendations and they asked each state to make a final decision. And every state will look at their risks, their priorities. Like I said, we give kudos to our governor. Our governor says he's not ready to play Russian roulette with people's lives. You know, he won't say because his kids are no longer in school, you know, therefore kids can go to school, whatever they get. That's what leadership is about. We need money desperately. We need our kids to graduate desperately. But we don't want to bury them. The leadership he has given us is a leadership of safety. Let us err on the side of caution. They've waited. Universities have been closed for 9 months. We didn't die. 2 weeks will not kill anybody. People have been partying all over the place. So let's see what happens. If people get infected in December 25, it takes only about 10 days. We will know. And if they are okay, even if they are infected, within 10, 14 days, they will be okay before they resume. So we wait till 18. Those who are infected will have been okay. And those who are not infected will be back. We don't lose anything.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Stephen Fadayini. Okay, I think we have a caller on the line now. Hello.
Hello, Dimeji.
Hello, good afternoon. Please, your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Ndago. I'm calling from Igodanisa.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
My question is this. They are talking of COVID-19 and the issue of face masks. The new legislation that is going on at Okutupa now, I am just from the center. There are no face masks, and the crowd there is more than market. Only one center for a whole local government. How is it possible to prevent COVID-19 from such a place?
Okay, thank you very much. I think he's referring to the national identification number. It is true. I think that is happening all over the country. At some point, Lagos had to shut down the office of NIMC. What has been done in Ondo State?
We can only appeal to our people. When you leave your house, take a face mask with you.
Is it possible for the state government to also, sit down with NIMC the national identification management.
It's a national policy. The state did not decide this.
No, I'm not saying the state government should stop it, but sit down with them and talk about these protocols on the ways to go about it. For instance, they may say if you are not wearing your face mask, we're not going to attend to you. That's one.
Have you seen what happens in the banks? When you enter into the NIMC compound, when you enter into their facilities, you see the protocols being followed. It's like the banks. When you go into any banking hall in Ondo State, inside the banking hall, there is distancing, everything. The problem is outside.
Will it be more effective? Will it be wrong to suggest that federal government should, give some sort of another extension?
Oh no.
Maybe the rush. Maybe
what the federal government is doing now is very innovative. They're developing an application.
Yes, I've read about that.
With that app now,
without having to go to the office,
you don't have to go anywhere. You do. So.
But people who are not letter who may not be able. They will find people to do it for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Fagbemi, Ondo State epidemiologist. Thank you very much for coming to this edition of the Roundtable.
Here with you.
My name is Dimeji Daniels, and thank you for being part of the program today. Have a wonderful week.